Good morning YouTube, my name is Siobhan and on this channel I share my experience of child sexual abuse in a way that I hope is helpful for others. My last couple of videos have been pretty heavy, so I thought I'd dedicate today to sharing with you 3 signs of progress, 3 signs which tell me that I'm moving on after the abuse experience. The first sign of progress I'm going to share is that my own point of view is enough now. So child sexual abuse has a way of making us feel split down the middle. I felt like I was living a double life. There was this part of me that wanted to be an ordinary girl, and then the other part that had this big secret, and I felt ashamed to exist. So over time, I noticed that I was always seeking validation for what I thought, so I would tell other people everything that was going on in my life without them necessarily asking, and I would need them to listen and acknowledge and nod and say, yes, Siobhan, that makes sense, or no, it doesn't. And if somebody disagreed with me, I would probably take on their point of view rather than think, well, hang on, I get a vote as well. My point of view matters too. So over time, I've realized that I'm more able to stand by my own side, and it's okay if you disagree. I don't need everyone to agree with me anymore, because I'm starting to trust myself more and starting to detach from this idea that the abuse was my fault, which was what made it so difficult for me to trust my own judgment in the first place, this sense of personal responsibility over what happened. The second sign of progress is that now I give myself permission to change. So yesterday I fired up my old phone from some years ago, and I spent a while lost in nostalgia reading all these conversations with people, and I barely recognized myself. And that was really interesting because it was both in good and bad ways. And I noticed that in some situations I was overreacting to everything, and I realized how desperate I was back then to have my point of view validated, which links to the previous point. And now I know that if I was faced with similar situations again, I would be able to step back and have a bit more of a clear approach, clear head about it. But the key point is that when I was reading that stuff, I wasn't feeling ashamed or bad or judgmental about what I discovered. I was neutral. I just had this neutral awareness of why I behaved those ways. And I don't feel ashamed about it, because frankly, if any of you have been through what I've been through, you'd react that way as well. And I think this is helpful, this idea of noticing our behaviours and where they come from without making a judgment. That's something that I think is you have to be able to do that in order to move forward. The third sign of progress is that I am no longer fascinated by chaos. This is a really important point. What I mean by that is that if a thing is bad, I'm going to move away from it. I'm not going to charge in trying to change or fix something that is way out of my control. That's what I used to do, and I think that driving need to run in and change a bad situation was arising from a sense of deficit within myself. It was coming from that sense of existential shame, which is one of the main symptoms of child sexual abuse. I needed to change things against the odds of them changing in order to feel like I was important or worthy in some way. And I've basically let all of that stuff go now. If a thing is bad, it's bad, and I don't want to be in a thing that's bad, so I'm going to move away from it. I'm at a point now where I'm feeling boundaries where there were none before, and if something just isn't worth the effort, then it means that it's not worth the effort. It does not mean, oh, but maybe if I try and squeeze and push really hard, then it is going to be worth the effort. It's just not. Save yourself some time and energy. Move away and find people who aren't going to replicate this struggle. So those are my 3 signs of progress after child sexual abuse. The only other thing I would add is to notice how the people around you change as well as you're going through this process. So for me, I noticed that when my life became less chaotic, certain people drifted away without us necessarily having any particular disagreement. And I sort of think that it's because our relationship depended on me always having problems. And once I stopped having problems, it was like, where do we go from here? What do we talk about now? So you'll notice that relationships that are not entirely mutual will sort of magically drift away, and also people who are truly on your team and who will suit this phase in your life much better will just show up. That's what I'm really experiencing that right now. Like in the last few months, certain people have just showed up out of nowhere without me really trying too hard, without it being like an effort, and definitely not a struggle. The other thing is that I'm experiencing a level of inner peace like I never have before, in the absence of all the soul-splitting stress that I used to deal with. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. If you think that is an important topic, then please share and subscribe. Other than that, I will see you next week.